Hey, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Clinic Gym Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Satterley, and it's my pleasure today to be joined by Dr. Tim Prater from beautiful, scenic, glorious Marion, Ohio. Tim, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Now, Tim, you are a believer in the clinic gym hybrid model, although your facility has about a half-mile gap between the clinic and the gym.
It does. So
you make people run from one to another because that does increase some fitness there.
It does. Yeah. No, we. I have a unique situation. So I moved to Marion 7 years ago, last month, to marry my wife and join the practice with her and her father. And he built this practice. He literally built the building, and so rent's fairly affordable. So we have the established practice been here for a while, but the kind of agreement was when I moved to Marion, there wasn't a CrossFit gym open, and I was doing a lot of CrossFit, competing almost, trying to make it to regionals, and I was coaching too a lot. I've been a personal trainer forever, so we said, why not open a gym? Let's do a facility that we know we can do the things that we're good at, which are providing a safe environment for that, which CrossFit isn't known for. So let's see if we can do that different. And so we started the process of opening the gym, which has been open. It was open 5 years this July. Awesome. Pure function CrossFit. So it's just, so we had to find a space to do it, and we couldn't essentially add on this building that much. Our practice already is, so when my father-in-law took over the practice that he bought from the previous Cairo, it was actually the building next door, which is originally, I don't know, Marion's got a lot of history. It's kind of super old, so it's cool architecture, but the building's old. And so then he actually built this facility that we're in. So we actually use the old building for acupuncture, massage, and I have my rehab facility. So I have a big treatment table, a big open room. So basic treatment rooms are in the main building. My wife does acupuncture here, and I treat patients here. We do all exams here. My father-in-law does his medical examiner work here, and then we do other massage, acupuncture, and rehab next door. So we already have 2 buildings. So we just added the mix and then added the gym.
That's awesome. How big is your current practice? Like the clinic itself, how many rooms or square foot or however you want to measure?
So our room, we have, I think our main output, we're about 4,000 square feet.
Okay.
For the
pretty
office.
Sizable. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have 6 treatment rooms. We have, we're getting rid of an X-ray, so we're going to add on another treatment room there and put another like storage and laundry area in the back. We have our exam room. My wife does functional medicine, so we have our whole little supplement cabinet. So I think we have 6 treatment rooms, office in the back, office in the front, another doctor's office. So it's pretty sizable.
Your rehab
nice.
Area?
The rehab area is probably 900 square feet open, and then we have 3 treatment rooms around it. So that we are usually used for acupuncture because they're quiet.
Okay.
So
cool. And then as far as the gym, how big's the gym square footage wise?
So the gym's cool. So we found a building and just somehow stole it before it went up for sale because we knew the people. It was actually the church next door owned it, and they gave us a heck of a deal on it. So we bought the whole building. So we rent out some stuff in the back, but we have access to expand. So the space that we use in the front for the gym used to be, the original building was a car dealership with a big garage in the back. So, but the front was like the showroom and offices. So it's 3,500 square feet or so, not quite square in the gym. That's the whole square facility. We have 2 restrooms, 1 shower, 1 small office, and then the rest CrossFit playground.
Nice.
And then, the back is 8,000 square feet without a post on the floor. So we're going to partition off. So we're going to expand out. Hopefully, in the spring, we're going to expand to another 3,600 square feet in the back. So we'll essentially double our space. We need to do some more kind of like weatherproofing in the back because it's more of like an old garage, and make it so it can hold the heat better. But we're going to turf out the back a little bit more, do a little bit different. So, and the idea is then with 3,600 square foot, we could run 2 classes or have different class times. We could run them on the hour and on the half hours if we need to that way also. Or we have a lot. My coaches are super involved in the community. And so if we need to bring in classes, teams, kids, we'll have the space to do it because we already try and do those things. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk real quick about gym layout because I always get questions about this. Your first 3,600 square feet or whatever it is, and now you're adding basically the same amount on.
Yes.
Maybe what are 2 or 3 lessons you've learned in layout, equipment, how to utilize the space better? Because it sounds like you're actually going enough that you're making some money off the gym. It's not just
we're not making that. I haven't taken many paychecks, but I've taken all the money and put it back in the gym, and it's doing quite well. So I said, and it's fantastic. We're working that way.
You should take some of that money home, homeboy.
Oh no, we're going to. We're this is the year. So it's actually we have a lot of money in the bank. So we actually have a lot of investments and stuff like that this year. So we're excited, and we get to actually build out the back of the building. But so my biggest thing was, even for a CrossFit facility, is I would have gotten more cardio equipment off the bat. Even though it's cost up front, not very easy. It's hard to swallow Concept 2. It's hard to swallow an Echo bike or an assault bike.
Are you talking air bikes, rowers, treadmills?
Rowers and air bikes for the most part. And being in Ohio, like it's been 30 degrees the last couple of mornings. So like running outside becomes not an option. So if I want to get a true form, but it's also silly for group classes that only have one of anything. Right. So
we just interviewed Kirk Mason. I don't know if you saw that up in North Dakota. Runs in the same thing. In the winter, you can't run outside. And so
we do a lot of jump ropes. Yeah. I honestly believe jump rope is much harder than run because of the neurological skill it acquires with it. As I say, so we in a CrossFit gym. I said I like the CrossFit methodology of how it's like fitness is that spectrum of like disease to health, and like they essentially say like the office is kind of like your wellness point, which is like 60-70%, and then you can push up. But like I always say, like, so we like someone put it the other day, like what good logos you have or anything for your space. And the one that we have, and I don't know if it's mine directly or where I got it, but it was like we have technique before and consistency before intensity. And I always tell people you get 3 flavors of intensity. You get load, volume, or speed. You can move. I can make you do 1 squat at 400 pounds. I make you do 300 squats, or I can make you do a jump squat. And the jump squat's far and away the hardest because neurologically it takes the most recruitment. Yeah. You have to figure out that thing the fastest. So
I think jump rope is the unsung hero of, you want to improve somebody's posture. Like if you're like, oh, so-and-so has bad posture, whether it's head forward, slim shoulders, whatever, get them to jump rope consistently. And you'll be amazed at how much it fixes it. And it's self-correcting. As soon as they slump over, you get whipped in the back of the legs.
We have all the nice new, I said, that's the one thing we just upgraded to. We upgraded all our jump ropes. We got the new Rogue rack and all the pre-cut ropes. That was my gift to everyone for Halloween. And those PVC cords don't let you know when you mess up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And if you want, honestly, it sounds silly, but training like a pose running or a chi running, just put a jump rope with someone's hands and make them go for a 400 or half-mile jog with a jump rope is the fastest way I've seen someone to change their running technique to actually do a mid-foot strike.
Yeah. And it's not too expensive. I mean, you're talking about a treadmill that's going to be $4,000 each. Jump ropes are the nicest ones are $40 each. I mean, you got to try to spend money, right? Like,
yeah, you have to.
Yeah. So it's great. Well, that's awesome.
I would have done more cardio equipment. I would change the flooring a little bit. So we just have it. So we have our rig kind of right in the middle. We have 2 I-beams in our facility. So in they're exactly 27 feet apart, which is the exact width of the monster or infinity rig. So we literally put the rig right up against it and use the I-beam as kind of like, we put the weight, we just stack the weights around the I-beam. So that's our plate storage right there. Is kind of just another buffer around the pole. And then we just ran plywood flooring. So essentially made each a station all the way to the wall through the whole gym. And then the rest of it, we use stall mats.
So underneath the rack itself is all wood. I'm sorry. And the rig is all wood. Yep. And then
in the squat platform. So right. the 6 foot, 8 foot 6. So we have 3 or 6 squat platforms that are wooded. Awesome. And but it extends all the way to the wall. So,
and then everywhere else is thick rubber flooring, drop the weight.
3/4 inch. Yep. 3/4 inch.
Yeah. It was probably fun to lay 33,000 square feet of 3/4 inch mats down. I can only imagine.
It's not a square facility. So I spent 8 hours and I couldn't find a saw blade that would actually not jam up or heat and melt. So you just have to use a utility knife.
Yeah.
So my thumb was
a bunch of wrist action, right?
Oh, it was nuts.
That's awesome. All right. So by the way, if anybody wants to hit you up about layout, you mind if they do so? Because that's a question that's very common.
Always.
And one thing I will say to everybody is, I think it's always good to ask people who have operated the gym for a couple of years what they would do different, because you realize where your bottlenecks are for getting more people in, aka making money. Like, It's all fun to own a gym and it's great to stay in shape, but you want to also be able to make money off it. And I've seen plenty of layouts where it's fun for CrossFitters and you got for example, you got Olympic lifting platforms in the middle of the space. It's not a good flow for repeated classes. It's a good flow for putting your fire breathers on display and watching, in shape people work out, but that's not what makes you money. So making sure that you have it set up to make money is good. The other thing is, you want a flow. So I always think you want it to move from A to B to C to D. So if you think about you're a DNS guy, like if you want to do DNS warm-ups, then move to strength, then move to plyos, then move to strength, then move to cardio. That is kind of a U-shaped works or a circle or something.
Right.
But going left to right, which I see in a lot of gyms, I'm like, dude, at some point this doesn't bother you? Like, anyway.
Right. We've definitely got our flows better. I say honestly, that's the hardest part about COVID is, again, so we got being a smaller facility and having limited cardio equipment in a winter is the best way for me to manage that for the most part. Having programmed for sports teams and trained people for a long time is I just program a lot of stations normally, but I can't necessarily program effective stations with a COVID cleaning window. Like I can do 30 on, 30 off, but you're going to spend those 30 seconds cleaning your machine down so you can go to the next piece of equipment. And I said,
you're doing some Karate Kid workouts, right? Like 30 air squats, grab a rag, wipe down your station, 30 air squats.
Exactly. We got a Mr. Miyagi, everything off. And it's like, we're just going to start giving everybody, I think, just like navel jelly too, to wipe all the rust off of everything that's been just cleaned incessantly 9 times a day.
Yeah.
No barbell was ever meant for that.
So since you also have a lot of coaches, right?
Yes, we've acquired 8 coaches over the past 5 years.
And you also coach, right? So that's the 9th.
Yeah.
And does your wife coach?
Yes, she does. So she's a 10th.
Right. So you got 2 highly trained chiropractors. Your wife's into acupuncture. You're into DNS. You guys have a clinical mindset, and then 8 coaches. Talk to us a little bit about how, not just how you've trained them, but what are the holes that maybe you didn't think would be areas where your expertise really shined with those coaches?
I honestly, this is where it's tricky because I feel like I'm getting better at developing coaches than I'm almost coaching my athletes. Yeah. So we've honestly just taken athletes that have a passion and developed them, and just
pause real quick. I hope people heard that. Tim did not go out and look for people with NSCA certification, CSCS. He went for people with passion. I get this question a lot, like, I'm trying to find a new trainer, and this person only had these certs. And my thought is, you don't need anybody with any certs. The only cert they need is their customer service skill high, and do they have enthusiasm?
Are they relatable? Yes. Yeah. That's the fun part about being built into CrossFit is that community part too. So it's like my community is real strong. They're super loving. They accept everybody unless you're going to come in and be judgy. And they just don't take that. So that's kind of nice. But if you're around long enough, you understand we spend a lot of time coaching. Like I said, so our daily, so we do a DNS-ish type warm-up. We then usually flow into some light kettlebell or barbell work with some plyo stuff. And then we go through either a strength or a gymnastic or an Olympic modality. And then we do our WOD usually, and then cool down, stretch, do durability, core stuff. That's a typical setup for every class. That's just how it flows. And there's coaching along every point. And I try to take all the principles that I've learned through the DNS exercise stuff and all the CSCS work and just kind of everybody that I like and put it all together in one mishmash that we call CrossFit. But our CrossFitters don't do sit-ups, right? We do dead bugs. We do Russian kettlebell swings. We don't do American kettlebell swings. We don't allow butterfly pull-ups. I quote Alm all the time. Like, unless you're making money now, you don't get to do it. Like, if you can think you're competitive. I thought it was competitive. Competitive is not worth the labor of terror. I love you, right? So,
So you're saying, hey, we serve hamburgers and hot dogs, but
yes,
we're using organic grass-fed Kobe beef for the hamburger patties, and my wife is custom using a sourdough starter for the buns, and it may appear to be the same end product, aka CrossFit, but the ingredients have shifted and changed and improved
a bit. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So,
how much training do you do with your coaches, and what are some things? Again, talk to us a little bit about when do people's eyes light up as coaches when you share some clinical information? Is there anything that you're surprised that they're so into? Like, oh my God, nobody's ever explained that helps me understand a lot.
I think the one aspect and the thing you talked about earlier, before we turned this on, but it sounds stupid, but just basic head and neck position and how cervical neck posture influences thoracic spine and upper quarter strength and mobility. And people just don't think about it. And I kind of told you, everyone in our little video, if we didn't see the push-up instructional, is I don't think traditionally, I'm going to get sexist comments. I'm sorry. Like, girls are bad at push-ups. Mm-hmm. I don't think, okay, we'll say people that aren't viewed as upper body strong are usually bad at push-ups. I just don't think that they've been cued to understand that if you drop your face towards the floor, you're going to have the association of your scapula from your thoracic spine. And now there's literally nowhere to push. So why don't we teach you how to hold your neck first, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just show you how to hold where your neck is and then see if we can move you, right?
Hey, brother, and it sounds, like, you might get sexist comments, and I would welcome them because, but what I would say is and we've talked about this, if you can get a woman, if you can be the gym in your area known to get women able to go from, let's say, 5 crappy push-ups to 20 clean feet, right, on the hands and toes, chest to deck push-ups with no problem, you're going to get a name for yourself. If you're known as the gym that gets women from 0 to 5 clean, no band, no BS pull-ups, you're going to have a name for yourself, right? Like these aspects, we talked a little bit about this, but not only are these great attributes, but if you're a clinician that's interested in resiliency, in anti-fragility, in durability, having them believe, convincing those women that, hey, you can do push-ups just like that guy over there, there's not a negative part of that, right? And oftentimes I see women, when they do that first set of, I would say, push-ups, you kind of have to exceed a 15 mark. Like, I don't know what it is. 10 doesn't do it. 15 or 20. But when they bust out 15, 20 push-ups on their toes, chest to deck, going down all the time, they're now more invested, more interested in strength, because I think they realize, hey, this isn't making me bulky, and holy crap, it feels great to be able to bust these out next to every on class. Right. And
that's absolutely. I think CrossFit has a unique advantage in the barbell there too, as opposed to some.
Oh, dude, no other workout program has given women more authority to move heavy weights on barbells, and also no workout program has ever built better legs and butts on women. Period.
I tell people, like, the hardest part if you're going to be a guy and come to the gym is that you're probably on day one going to get outlifted by a lady. That's
that's the beauty of group exercise there. That's the best thing that can happen to that dude day one, right?
Right. Absolutely. It's fantastic. We had one of the guys I've known as my wife's family friend since I moved here to Mary, and he has been coming to the gym for the past month. And the very first day, just hang on the pull-up bars, like, strained his neck, and he came back to the office and hung out for a minute. We had some therapists, we talked. He's like, I just can't believe I can't move anymore. But like, he looks around at the rest of the ladies and he's just like, Tim, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, everyone starts at day one though. So like, and that's the thing we always talk about the gym, is that, like, it does, like, our Pure Function logo is there's a Chinese parable about how koi would swim up the Yellow River, and then when they hit this one falls, they couldn't make it, so they turned around and went home, except for this one koi that just kept jumping for 100 years. When he finally made it over the hump, he got turned into a dragon. So our whole logo is a yin yang sign with a koi turning into a dragon. I thought, you're gonna be a dragon somewhere, you're gonna be a koi somewhere else. And CrossFit's great at that, because if you can run, you probably can't lift as heavy. If you can lift real heavy, you might not be able to do something else. I said, my goal is always to be the world's fattest gymnast. I played football in college, so picking up bar stuff is easy. But like, doing 300 feet of handstand walk like I did on Monday was rough. But I can still do it.
Yeah, it's equal servings of I feel tough and here's some humble pie. Make sure you don't get it on your face.
And but you have to. You have to be able to find a place where you can push them to the place where they can get uncomfortable enough, but still find their comfort.
So from the perspective of anybody listening that's coaching athletes, you have found a lot of success, and you posted about this before. You've found a lot of success at teaching people, specifically women, how to disassociate their scap from their cervical spine, basically. Like, everything here is not glued together. The upper T-spine is not glued to the scap. That's not glued to the cervical spine.
Right.
Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what are some tips? So think about if you're young Tim Prater, 8 years ago, you're about to open a gym. You don't know anything except you got your education, but you don't know this.
Right.
give a couple tips for people what they can do in the gym to teach people to get them over that hump, to see that light bulb turn on in them and in your coaching.
So it sounds stupid, but the biggest thing I tell my athletes is the two things that you have to focus on are your points of foundation, how you're connected to the floor. Really the only force you have is ground reactive force. So that's really important, and how you're using your breath to kind of stabilize your torso. So can you create good abdominal pressure?
Your clients on how to put their hand down.
So it's really easy. If you take people and put them in a push-up and have them lift up their index finger, the average person that's not a living in the CrossFit gym already CrossFitter, their scaps will immediately wing up. They will lose scapular stability just from lifting their index knuckles up. And then you can have them push them down, and then you can just put your hand right in their back. Look at their shoulder blade disconnected, shoulder blade back down. Disconnected, back down. It's kind of like the same trick if you've ever seen Alm do with the kettlebell and a squat. If you duck toe out so far your big toes are off the ground, you're guaranteed to arch your back.
That dude doesn't know anything, so don't use his
right, exactly. Right. So if you bring your knees way in so that you're way concave, you're going to have to round your back. So finding a balance between in and out so you can get it sounds silly, but just finding that you can hold your whole hand on the ground.
Yeah. Well, I think the big point here is a lot of people are yelling cues like push, drive your hand, blah, blah. But nobody's going off the foundation of this, which if you don't have that, you don't have anything. Now, maybe some people naturally go to that point. That's awesome, right?
Right.
But if they don't, a simple cue that changes everything is huge. I took a golf lesson one time. I was spraying the ball left and right, no consistency whatsoever. And the guy said, just bring your feet together. And all that this is going to teach you is where the bottom of your swing is.
Right.
That one lesson changed my life because I realized, okay, when you keep the bottom of the swing consistent, you can create any shot you want. If that's not consistent, you can't create anything because you are you're rolling the dice. So that one lesson, I'm sure, makes a huge difference for people.
Okay, so this is, I guess, the lesson I've pulled out of the past year or two of just my own personal training too is instead of cueing them, it's the whole feedback loop of what do you cue, right? So when you cue them, you're assuming that you know what they're thinking or feeling. Without understanding what they are actually thinking about or feeling, you have no clue what your cue is going to do to their program. So instead, ask the question, what are you thinking about? Or what do you feel right here? Like I had an athlete this morning. We had light overhead squats today. So literally just, she's a newbie. She's got a trainer bar, 10 pounds, right? And she's trying to do it. She's like, I feel like I can't lower. I said, okay, that's cool. Describe to me, where can't you lower? And she's like, I can't move my hips. I'm like, do you feel your low back arching? She's like, yes. I go, your hips don't move as good when your low back's arched. So let's fix that low back first. Take a nice deep breath in, turn your brace on. Now use your legs and pull your butt down. You feel your hips moving now? She's like, yes. Do you squat now? She's like, yes. That's it. Try that now, right? The hardest part is understanding that you have to create a feel relationship. Doesn't matter if you know to push. If you don't know what you're pushing or where that push comes from or how to establish your connection to the push, your cues are all just thrown out in the air.
I love it. I love it because I've had a lot of success with that. Like, what do you feel? And then we'll manipulate that. Like, okay, when you had success, you told me you felt an 8 out of 10, and right now you feel a 2 out of 10. Let's go back to an 8, right, in that area. But I think one interesting thing is so many people assign glute bridge exercises for their patients, and at no point does their patient actually use their glute. And like,
so they're just
now we can argue about whether we're saying glute med, glute mag, like forget that part. Just say, like the person is feeling their low back tighten. They're feeling their quads fire up. They're feeling their, their calf muscles or gastroc, whatever. They don't even know what the hell you mean by glute, let alone use it. Like they're out.
So that's where, so in the office more, I would say that translates to, instead of using those exercises, I go back to DNS-based movements because so the DNS platform is based on creating maximum joint centration, right? So the joint, maximal bone-to-bone contact. And
this is what you talk about at the bar to get the ladies, but keep going.
Yes, right? So co-contraction around that joint, right? Which is a dynamic situation. But there are certain positions that I can put you in that, due to the way that you develop, due to development of kinesiology and ontogenesis of how you naturally went, there are certain positions that you have to use certain things to do. And so I can put you in that and bias it. So you can do like a 4-month sideline where they're on their side, and now you can just push in their ASAS while they hold their bottom leg down, and now they're turning on the glute med, but in a different fashion. We can get to feel it. And now especially like in clinic, that's, I think, one of my biggest takeaways is creating, especially when if it's a shoulder or a hip, creating trunk on extremity motion instead of extremity on trunk motion is my quickest way to get patients to feel something different and then create their pattern change.
I like it. I like it a lot because I think it's just a principle, right? It doesn't matter if you're working clinically or in the gym or going for a maximum effort or getting a 72-year-old patient to ditch their walker. The principle holds true, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, I want to tell you all about Membrant. Membrant, with a D in there like Rembrandt. Membrant is an app platform. Now, this company is the one who built the Clinic Gym Hybrid app. And if you purchase our accelerator program, you will get firsthand knowledge of what they do. But I think this is the next evolution in clinics who want to really give their patients better care, better service, while making it more convenient. So what Membrane can do is help you design a custom app for your company. This isn't just like rebranding somebody else's. This is your app that lives on the App Store and your patients can download. Now, what's the power of an app? Well, let's just say, for example, that you have a certain protocol that you want your low back pain patients to go for. So let's say you include the McGill Big Three, a little talk about repetitive motions and finding your kind of McKenzie protocol of reducing your pain through those repetitive asymptomatic movements. Well, you could tag the patients, meaning that you kind of put them on a list that says you want them to have access to the low back protocols, right? And then you could have another program of videos, articles, exercise descriptions, all that only go out to your patients with shoulder pain, right? Or ones that go out to patients with plantar fasciitis. If you can build that program, then what Membrane can help you do is make sure that only the patients that really need the plantar fasciitis exercises get that delivered to their phone. That thing that they're staring at, some estimates say as many as 500 times a day, all right? So check out membrant.com, or send me an email. I can hook you up with those guys, and they can put together a fantastic program. I think it's really the future, and it's one more way that technology will help you make more money while providing better care and a better business model. So check out membrant.com. All right, so let's go into some other subjects here because just to make this more exciting, you and I posted something and you had a different approach than I did, and we could say we disagreed, right?
For sure.
And it's social media, so like that's required. Like we can't all agree.
Absolutely.
They actually will trim off the comments where you agree, so you only have the pissed off ones. Right. I'm a big fan in the right context of using, say, a polar heart rate monitor, score the reps, or monitor the output, things like that. I think people like the scoreboard. They like here's how many X's I got, how many widgets I scored or whatever. And whether those things are totally accurate or not that's debatable. But you were the only person that really came back and said, hey, I don't think that those are good in any way. And let me tell you why.
No.
So talk to us a little bit about
one. Yeah, I wear one.
What's that?
But I said I have my Apple Watch on right now, right?
All right, yeah.
So this is, I'll give you my whole little spiel on this, I guess. Yeah. So I tell people at the gym all the time. So DNS and how powerful its application was in my practice led me to dig a lot deeper down the breath hole. So I've done Wim Hof certifications. I've done a pranayama yoga certification. I did the Art of Breath certification. So that's through, it's now Shift Adapt. Brian McKenzie he's a no title guru. I feel like he's amazing. I love the guy. So he was originally CrossFit Endurance, and I followed him because he could literally have people run 400 meters and that's it, and then still run a marathon and win their age class. Like he was just the interval king. He showed you that you didn't have to put miles in to do the same amount of work. Dude, I mean, he ran ultras in Death Valley and stuff like that, but like also made you lift weights. I appreciate the crap out of the guy. And so he's kind of like pushed it, but like, so the Art of Breath was through what was CrossFit Endurance turned into Power Speed Endurance, which is now literally because of the breath importance of it. It's called Shift Adapt. So shiftadapt.com for none of my credit. So, but the Art of Breath course started me digging down a rabbit hole of understanding how your metabolism works and how your body works. And so if you go, if we're on the medias right now, the HHP Foundation, I know it's on Instagram. I don't know about Facebook, but so McKenzie and a couple other scientists have literally opened this up to start more breathing research. But it's okay. So your heart rate monitor, right, is showing you your heart rate. The heart rate's a secondary measure of your body creating cellular metabolism right? At your cellular level, there's only CO2 and oxygen, right? And the heart's just the pump to move the waste products in and out. So your lungs are where metabolism happens, right? Because that's where the exchange happens. So if you're unaware, because you breathe through your mouth, where you are on that spectrum, it's very easy to get blown out and go way past your perceived heart rate. So in the art of breath, they talk about the gear system. So essentially, most people have 5 ways of breathing. Breathing at rest. Right now, should be at gear 1, passive in and out through your nose. We're the only mammal that breathes through your mouth besides dumping heat and water. Like I said, we're right around the corner from a racetrack. You can go there. That horse does more air in a race than you do in a week with his mouth shut. I know its lungs are much bigger. It's built for it. But during this time of COVID, there's also a bunch of sensors up here. 80% of the nitric oxide, if you guys are taking pre-workouts, is formed in your sinuses. So if you take the pre-workout and you don't breathe through your nose,
filter than your mouth is, right?
So it's a filter. It humidifies. It said there's I don't know how many miles of cilia there are in your nose, mucus. So but it also helps to regulate your balance between autonomic tone. So this is where it really goes to, is so your metabolism at your cellular level, as you start to work out, you're taking fat or sugar and burning it into carbon dioxide and water. You're going, the studies came out now, the HAP pushed out last week or a couple weeks ago, that the studies done in the UK, for every 10 kilos lost, the average participant sweats 1.7 and breathes out 8.7 kilos. All that carbon's got to go somewhere. It doesn't come out as sweat. It comes out as carbon dioxide.
Say that again. That ratio, that equation you just.
So the 10 kilos lost, 1.7 kilos sweat out, 8.7 kilos breathed out. What's the molecular formula
87% of its breath?
Yes. So if you don't know what your breath is doing, so say the gear 2 is in through your nose aggressively and relaxed out. Gear 3 is like a hard walk, in and out aggressively through your nose. Gear 4 is out through your mouth, and gear 5 is just panting. So if you have no idea where you're living, you have no idea the actual control of the system, all you're doing is becoming more reliant on a system that's actually a secondary measure to begin with, but also isn't truly telling you what you're impacting. So if I can get you to breathe through your nose and tell me where you're at, now, one, you're burning more fat. So the other studies they've done. So have you seen the PNOE, the PNOE? I don't know how to say that. Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't have one yet. So they advertise it for me every time I turn social media.
I know. I've been hit by it 84 times on cross.
Yes. So Rob Wilson is the other president of Art of Breath. So he did the experiment. He took a walk around his loop around his house. It's 1 mile exactly with his Dobermans, and he's a massive jiu-jitsu guy. He's like 6'4", 240, right? So he does the first walk wearing the Pinot. Takes exactly 8 minutes. Gets back in, waits an hour, does it again. Takes the exact same amount of time. The first walk, he prints out the Pinot report. He's projected to burn 6,700 calories a day. He's using something like 67% carbs and using like 27% fat, and he's at a 37% efficiency. Does the same walk an hour later. Same exact loop, same exact time. He's the same exact person. This time he's projected to burn 5,900 calories. He's burning 80% fat, he's burning 10% carbs, and he's at 90% efficiency. Difference was walk 1 was mouth only, walk 2 was nasal only. That's it. It's the only difference. I'll link it and I'll post it. So literally the control that we have, the thing that we've given up ability to do, I believe, honestly, is breathe. I think half of the problems that we have with anything thoracic, cervical, or shoulders is the inability to actually use your trunk to do what its first primary function is, and that's to breathe. So half of my practice in the office now is literally doing breath work with people to make them, and it sounds stupid, but it has worked faster now. I'm more successful now than I was ever. So it's weird.
You're gonna be the ACA's first diplomate of the American Chiropractic Board of Breath Work.
Right. I'd try. So it's a
dab. Wow.
But like I say for myself personally.
It sounds like you've looked into this. You have great research. You have great ideas. You have great rehab with your patients. Translate this, though. You're standing there. You're the only coach in front of 12 athletes. There's no way you're going over the 5 gears and right?
Yeah. So
how do you translate to the group work?
We do that usually during breakouts. So there are some specific things, like hypoxia training exercises. So we can literally work on increasing your CO2 tolerance. The statement I use all the time: if me and you are the exact same height, the exact same weight, if we go run a marathon, if you win, it's because you can tolerate more crap, literally more carbon dioxide, right? That's it. That's what allowed your system to go farther. You can tolerate more waste product. So if I can get you better at tolerating carbon dioxide, you can tolerate more life. So that resiliency, and the weird part is that a lot of the research now is going with this breath work and how it feeds into your autonomics and literally the mental emotional aspects. So the durability resiliency part is going like literally, because if I can change your breathing, and this is the cool part in the office, if I can work on, and I have like we have these veterans that were taught to do 1 million crunches. So they're hip flexors and they're all erectors and their heads way forward and they have ridiculous stuff. And we talk about breathing, and I can bring your autonomic tone more parasympathetic and get you out of your PTSD. That's a way bigger life change than me fixing your neck from being sore. Like, I love you, but that's it. Like, I'd rather fix with the lowest hanging fruit. And it sounds stupid, but the average person takes 24 to 26,000 breaths a day and doesn't pay any attention to them. We can change that a little bit and make huge gains through posture, strength, and metabolic function.
Okay. So you and I are working out right next to each other in CrossFit gym.
Sure.
And let's say that the day is, trying to think of something, 400 meter or 200 meter sprint. So short, sure. Relatively short sprint, high cardio output, or whatever you want to say.
Right.
High breath output. And then you come back and you do, 8 deadlifts, and you're going to repeat that 4 or 5 times. And let's just say, for form's sake, we can rest as much as we want in between sets.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, that's what CrossFit is, right? That's your score is just how well you decide to push your time anyways, right?
What are you
some
telling
days I will literally have some days my athletes like, you got to run nasal only. That's it.
You got to run these what?
Like, nasal only, no mouth.
Okay. So the limiter,
just run. Yeah.
You're just running them constraints based. The limiter is how long or how fast you can go, not all out heaving and
so
cervical spine working overtime.
I can
knock it down to maybe 81%.
And then when we get to the bar, like the very first thing we trick is it's pack neck. like just get in there, pack that neck. That's the very first thing we talk about deadlifts. Then you're going to use that same breath. Hopefully, if you've been breathing through your nose, you can feel your diaphragm more, so you can actually feel that. If you have to put a belt on, so we can actually get you to feel how your abdomen, we can get your abdominal wall to expand outward on that way down. That's why I tell people CrossFit's magical, because before CrossFit, people were doing cardio and working out, and the magic is, can you use your trunk to stabilize while you move loads? Can you breathe and use the respiratory component while the system's under duress? That's the real getter, right? That's the person that wins the games. So that's interesting to me, because it all comes down to stability and the ability to breathe in different, and like, can you, so like, and so we do this is part of our warm-ups. Like we do the couch stretch, like hip flexor kind of stretches, right? Okay. So try and blow a balloon up while you're in a couch stretch, and watch athletes that think they're badass. Stand them up, have them blow up a balloon, put it on a couch stretch and have them try to blow up a balloon and watch them fail. And then now you say, okay, so now that you are unable to breathe in that pattern, so every time your hip flexor stretch, I don't know what you're capable of, or if you can even stabilize that position.
I love it.
So we tie a lot of that weird stuff in there. I say because of just how CrossFit, like I said, I love deadlifts. I used to hate deadlifts because I got hurt all the time. I played football in college. No one had coached me right. Once I learned how to pressurize my abdomen and actually use my belly right, I said,
it's funny. What? I mean, deadlifts, if you went to, any seminar with Craig Levinson, Greg Cook, like any of these kind of big thinkers, and you said, like, what one pattern would you love to see everybody do, or what's one pattern? Hip hinging would be near the top of the list.
No, it's it.
Right?
It's it.
Like,
it's what keeps everybody out of the office.
Right. Rehab everybody. Low back, rehab everybody, lower extremity, rehab everybody's, hell, you can rehab a shoulder through hip hinging, right?
Yes.
But then if I were to go back and ask every high school, anybody that's ever coached high school athletes for, weights in football, like I'm sure you did, or high school basketball,
right?
What's the worst exercise people can do for themselves? Oh, by far, it's deadlifts. And it's funny that the same exercise, the way it's done, can be the best or the worst. I mean, going back to my analogy, it's like you can have that super high-end hamburger, sounds like what you guys are cooking up, and I can go to McDonald's, and those two things have the same name. They're both hamburgers.
Right. Absolutely.
But what the outcome is, what the intent is, what we can build off of that are wildly different, right?
Right. That's like that. So we get at local competitions, we've gotten criticized before because we're technique snobs and all my athletes look good all the time. I don't understand how that's a criticism. I'll never take that as anything besides a compliment. So if anyone else said that my athletes are supremely proud of the fact that they can do things with very good technique. Yeah. And when they do them, they look better than almost everyone else that's trying to do the same thing around them. That's also a big boost to them. And so CrossFit has this built in there. If you've done the cert, the efficiency, right? Efficiency has safety built into the definition, right? It's getting the most work done safely. That way, otherwise it's not efficient. If you have to keep going back and undoing your work, if you're hurting yourself, it's not efficient. So teaching these basics of this is how you need to find your base. This is how you need to set your core. And now I need you to just feel where you're moving here. If you can't move here yet, I'm going to show you how to adapt. We'll teach you. We'll scale you back. We'll ring you back. I said, so we do a lot of this. The other thing is that ring rows, people just don't like just pulling patterns. Do a lot more pulling patterns, get people to breathe and get people to pull. We do ring rows till the cows come home. Like, I don't care if people get over the pull-up bar for a while, until you get good scapulocervical strength, but you can do a lot of damage with some hard ring rows.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned earlier too, not to berate this point, but you said you work with a lot of women on scapular stability, especially in ring dips, which is a lot of people, if you don't have a minimum effective amount of upper body strength, ring dips, dips in general are hard, but ring dips are especially hard.
They're very hard, right?
Yeah.
So it's again, so like the things that people don't talk about is, so that's all we do is, so we'll step you on plates or a box, get you to a point where you can support a full lockout, understand the difference of like scapular depression. Can you and we always do hang before we do ring rows, just to show people how blind most people's scapulas really are. Like, if it was like the average person, you're going to jump up on a pull-up bar and hang. I say, if you just pull your shoulder blades down to your butt, almost everyone overarches to that thoracolumbar, right? Everyone arches instead of depressing their scapula purely. They do a lot of erector dominance. So we do just we'll walk around and partner up and have people put hands on scaps and depress, and so you can move just your scap. Then once we get that, we do the same movement in the top of the dip. Because it's the same movement, just one's a pull, one's a press. So if I can activate and kind of stretch those fibers with the pull, maybe I can get you to press it a little bit easier first. Then other things are making sure they have like the good ring contact, that their wrists aren't all cockeyed. Like I said, imagine you're gonna hit somebody. Like, don't punch like a girl and have your wrist all dorsiflexed. Again, I'm sorry, sexist comments, don't punch like you've never been in a fight before. I'm assuming more dudes have been in fights than ladies. I hope that's less sexist. And then stack those knuckles up, just stack the bones, as the CrossFit would say, right? Wrist and knuckles. And then once you're there, the very first thing, hack your neck, right? And that's where it's very easy is, now all I want you to feel is, with your legs underneath you still, can you bend just your elbows and not have your shoulders come up through your ears? That's it. And we'll do just that. I'm not going to do a band. You're just going to keep your feet underneath you until you can understand that that's a movement that happens, and not your chin shoots forward or your shoulders end up above your ears as the first movement. And that's really it. It sounds stupid, and it is. I tell people, like, I don't do anything fancy. It's like, I love the fact that we're kind of in a smaller town, because like neurodynamics are like the world's most fancy thing. I'm like, I just stretched your arm. Now you don't have surgery. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool, right? Like, we have a lot of I always feel good. Like doing McKenzie stuff, certifications, doing neurodynamic certs, the amount of benefit that you can get and how easy it is to implement it in your practice. If you want fast, I would say those are those. Get yourself some sort of soft tissue release, right? Some ART or FRC or FMF. Now. And then,
let me ask one last question here, Tim, because we're getting close on time here.
Sure.
What's one lesson you took from the clinic and implemented in the gym with good success? And then what I think doesn't get the fame it should, what's one lesson from the gym that you've put into clinical care that's changed your results for the positive?
So most of the stuff that we figured out in the office to the gym has been me. So my wife is in her amazingness, besides doing all the acupuncture stuff while she's had our children, became she was a birth fit regional director for a little while, a birth fit professional. So the functional progressions are a really great take from the DNS functional part into it. And like, so literally that's most of our warm up most days is kind of the functional progressions 1 through 4, dead bug, side bridge through like that. And getting people again, just to kind of feel that the stability found by using the bottom side again. So maybe it's cueing differently, but like, I want you to feel where you're at and not where you're going. I want you to feel what you're connecting to, how you're pushing back and forth. And in the office, it sounds silly. So that the gym has shown myself that bring on the haters. Gymnastic kipping pull-ups are the best thing for my upper thoracic mobility and shoulder strength. Eat it. That's that. And so in the same token, maces and Indian clubs, 360s, all the odd objects, those have made my shoulders and my neck feel better than anything in clinical practice. And patients love that. Patients love those, just the basic gymnastic ability of brachiating, just hanging and be able to kind of just swing back and forth and use your upper quarter as a movement generator. And then you don't need anything besides a broom handle, or most people have a sledge around here if you have a farm, right? And so 360s are amazing. I said, if you're going to do shoulder stability, you want to feel like a ninja at the same time, that's way cooler. I like rehab that doesn't make me feel weak. So,
yeah, it's a good point. I mean, if we truly address the biopsychosocial factors as a whole, you know, like the 360 degree, whatever we say, the load that's shifting helps centrate the joint. So we address the bio. Then the psycho is like putting the psychological factors of putting heavy weights in your hand and controlling it and feeling like a bad mamma jamma, like that improves outcomes, you know? And then if you do it with fitness, that gives us a social factor. Like the people that are coming to your gym, that if they rehab in your clinic and you dump them into the gym and they work out with everybody for 6 months, the chance of them becoming a chronic pain patient and degrading into the mentality of this pain is not leaving, it's got to be close to 0%. I mean, it's got to be as close to absolute zero as we can get.
So that's the tie from our clinic to our gym, is that everything we do in the office is usually part of the warm up for the gym. So if you come just to watch a class, you immediately see things that we've already done with you. And you see a big group, giant group of people that want to support you. But the movement itself is in the magic. That's where CrossFit got it right.
Love it.
I said, even you said the biopsychosocial, my best story so far. Here you go. This year is I have a PTSD guy that we're doing rehab on. He's got a disc. He's an extension responder. We did some stretches that day. He just wasn't moving. I took a mace and we just did some behind the back pendulums, and then that worked into some 360 swings. After that, and him literally just disconnecting from his pain for a minute and focusing on something else we had to move fluidly, he then puts that down and gained 20 degrees of lumbar flexion, pain-free, just from getting him to relax. Almost like you can talk about, we can do like ballroom dance with your Alzheimer's patients. Literally just got him to focus on something else for a few, and safe movement is the best. What are you doing besides helping someone? It's like taking a multivitamin, right?
Love it.
Not going to hurt.
All right, Tim. Well, this has been quite eye-opening and joint centrating and eye-opening. So 2 good things, right? Combined. Yeah.
Yes.
So if people want to get a hold of you, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
You can see us
on your methods and the mad scientist approach you're using here.
Yeah, so I did 30 days of breathing on the Instagram for the gym. So if you check that out, I say I have a different breath exercise or methodology. I explain a ton of crap. I have a big write-up paragraph on every one of them for 30 days for the month of October. But yeah, so purefunctioncrossfit.com, Denton Prater Chiropractic Natural Health. We're on all the medias that way.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Awesome.
I'm super active on all the Pure Function stuff. That's where my phone's normally set to. So if you guys send messages to Pure Function CrossFit, that's where usually the fastest way to get back to me.
And Tim participates in the Clinic Gym Hybrid discussion group. So if you got questions there, I'm sure you can tag him on a post, find him in there. Please. And we'll always post this podcast. I'm going to tag you in the description.
Appreciate it.
All right, Tim. Well, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I love the fact that you take this idea, you implement it in all aspects of the clinic, the gym, doesn't matter. It's all the same principles. So it's awesome. As I always say, this is Josh Adderley. Go out there, maximize your license, and live the life you dream of. Tim, thanks so much for spending time with us today.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks so much for checking out these videos. I hope they're useful. We'll cover things like rehab, exercise, business model, progressions, layout, everything else that helps you build a clinic. So if you're interested, you can click here, there, here, or anywhere to get more videos just like this. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you soon.